Train the muscles, not the joints. Welcome back to Natural Gallant Bodybuilding, and today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about gaining strength and is it necessary in order to gain muscle. Now, there are a lot of misconceptions out there on the internet, as we know, and half the reason why I'm making this channel is because I'm trying to clear this stuff up, because a lot of people are moving in all different directions. They're doing the flying squirrel approach to their goals. Then they're wondering why they're not necessarily getting the results that they're looking for. So I'm not saying that you're going to be having infinite results if you do the right techniques either. I mean, and again, the right technique is going to be relative. It's going to be based on what is right for you, based on your genetics and all this kind of stuff. But there are some general principles that do apply. Now, do you need to gain strength as a natural bodybuilder in order to gain muscle? And yes, you do, but the problem is that most people think that strength is just 1 rep maxes, but it's not. Once you get down to that 1 rep max, there's a million different factors that go into it. I mean, that's an exaggeration, but there are a lot of factors that go into getting that 1 repetition, and a lot of that has to do with the groove. It's not necessarily the capacity of the muscle to be able to contract harder, right? So this is the thing. It's like if you do a bench press, right, and your delt fires at the right time, and your chest fires at the right time, and your tricep fires at the right time, and then your rotator cuff muscles fire at the right time, and in the perfect order, something happens called balance and groove. So this plays a major factor in that 1 rep max, but it doesn't necessarily mean that if you do a 3 rep max with heavier weight, that somehow the 1 rep max that's equivalent is superior. I hope that explains something there. I mean, you could say you're doing 295 on the bench for 1, but you could do 280 for 3. Guess what? You're probably pretty much the same strength. You're probably the same strength. Maybe at 280 at 3, you might be even stronger than the 295 for 1. So what I'm trying to say to you is that it has to do with the ability for the muscle to contract with heavier weights for the same amount of repetitions. That's really the bottom line. So once you get into really, really high repetitions, then we call it endurance, of course, yes. I mean, once you get into 50 reps, 60 reps, 70 reps, yeah, then you start to get more into muscular and sometimes cardiovascular endurance, depending on how long the set is taking you to accomplish. If you wish to put on muscle tissue, you need to concentrate on getting stronger with higher repetitions, as well as the lower repetitions and the medium repetitions. This is why a lot of athletes periodize, if I say the word right, periodize their training, because what happens is that they'll go through periods of time where they concentrate on 1 rep range, and then they concentrate on another rep range, and then they concentrate on another rep range. And this is why you get more results from that, because there are certain systems that burn out when you're using a certain rep range, and then when you're using another rep range, you're not necessarily burning out that same system, you're burning out a different system. So you're giving one a break as you're accessing the other. Now, there are a number of different ways to approach this. Most of the time in my training, I have approached it by just doing high rep days, medium rep days, then low rep days, and then I'd cycle through this. I would constantly go through high rep days and medium rep days and a low rep day, and sometimes the low rep day would only be once a week or maybe once every 2 weeks. Now, this is one way, this is not the only way, and I am sure that there is an adaptive response that is created from this that is quite specific. Now, I think, and this is something that you might want to assess in your own training, is that even doing one type of training, such as rotating the reps around and everything, you can also burn out from that. So I think it's also good to say, I'm going to do just one experiment in the petri dish of 5 rep sets or 8 rep sets for powerlifting. Or then I'm going to experiment in the petri dish of 15 rep sets for 1 month straight to see how my body adapts to that. And then do an experiment of 1 month of 50 rep sets and see what happens to your physique. And through cycling through these different rep ranges, you'll get a real good idea of how those rep ranges specifically affect your body. You really will. You'll get a real sneak peek at this. Now, even if you find that perfect rep range, what will happen is you'll notice that you'll still plateau at that rep range, and then I would say, why not change to something else? Because you may have burned out that system. So this is the thing with bench press, for instance. I think it's helpful to use heavier weights for periods of time and not go to failure, not burn out the energy system, but just work on getting that groove better and contracting the muscles in a very powerful way and challenging them with handling heavy loads for multiple sets, but not burning out the energy source, right? So you're actually hitting the tissues. The tissues are really getting challenged, but you're not burning out the energy. You're not getting that deep burn or that deep, shakiness going on, and you're not burning out the nervous system in a different way, right? find that there is a certain type of response, and I'm not sure I have the vocabulary to really describe it, but there's a certain type of response that happens in the body when you're handling heavy weight a lot, but you're not burning out to failure. You're not focusing on hitting failure. You see? So this is why powerlifters do this. They do it to refine their groove, to get the nervous system firing right, and they do definitely hit the fast twitch fibers quite hard with that, which is why, you know, you do see some powerlifters that do have quite a bit of muscle mass once they get into certain strength ranges, right? So this is one thing. Now, I would encourage you to do this because what it does is that it may give you a break from burning out the energy system, because whenever you are releasing energy in the endurance fibers, whenever you're accessing energy there are enzymes and systems in place. And as you are accessing those systems and using those systems, what will happen is at some point it would make sense that that system itself also gets burnt out. So when you go to the powerlifting type system for a period of time, you're giving the energy system a little bit of a break. And possibly there may be some cortisol that's released also when you go into endurance reps too much and too often. And then of course, once you hit your plateau with powerlifting, then you go back into the endurance and now you are fresh. And now the enzymes and all the systems are working properly. And now you're basically getting that extra blood flow. So this is something I didn't do quite enough in my bodybuilding career. I think I would have benefited a lot from going to a powerlifting stage for a period of a month or 2 months without going to failure. Meaning, and what I mean by powerlifting isn't lifting maximal poundages. What I mean is lifting a bit heavier, but not so heavy that I'm going to failure. One mistake I think I made was that I always felt the need that I had to go to failure all the time. And I think that this can burn you out as well. So it's good to take breaks from your own systems of training. It's good to try something and sometimes not have 100% maximum capacity of effort at work at all times. It's good to take a break from that. So a powerlifting type system or lifting heavy for periods of time may actually help you access these different fibers of tissue that have to do with anaerobic power activity but have nothing to do with endurance whatsoever. So it only stands to reason once you start repping out a lot, you're starting to get into more endurance type activity, and endurance activity is not necessarily muscle mass, like it's not necessarily sheer muscle mass. Now I know it seems like I contradict myself because I do say that reps work and reps do work, but doing it in congruence with heavier weight as well. So what's happening is you're doing the powerlifting stage, getting stronger in that way, and then you're repping out, and now those big muscles you created from the heavyweight are now having to fire multiple times, and then there's something else that happens that also creates more muscle tissue. So it's a synergy that happens. So yes, you get stronger overall as a natural bodybuilder along the way in order to put on muscle mass. You get stronger in sets of 10, stronger in sets of 15, stronger in sets of 5. You don't just get stronger in 1 rep maxes. I mean, 1 rep maxes, again, I think are a waste of time, and I think they're absolutely risky. And only a person that's been training for a few years will tell you 1 rep maxes are a good way to train in order to get results. There's very few people that have been around this game for a long time that say you have to do a 1 rep max in order to get results. I haven't actually heard any advanced person say this, not around me anyway. Experiment with the different rep ranges and realize that also when you're in those heavier weights, sometimes it's good to take a break from going to failure all the time. That makes lifting the heavier weights safer as well as more effective for giving the energy system that you have to access in order for those high repetitions and that lactic acid and everything. It gives that energy system an actual rest. And therefore, once you hit it again, it's refreshed and now you're really hitting those muscle fibers hard. So that's all I have to say about that. So thanks a lot for watching. I hope this helps you out in your training. And if you need to get hold of me, just go to naturalgallantbodybuilding.com, and there I have training programs available as well as music that I use in my videos and as well as training courses. So check that out. Take care for now. And thanks to the Patreon supporters. Thanks, guys.